So let's talk about Starbucks. Specifically, let's talk about how Starbucks keeps trying to convince us that they're still culturally relevant. Not by making the experience better or by cutting prices on their massively overpriced bean water, but by selling us limited edition cups. The Stanley collabs, the Bear cups, and now Roller Rabbit cups. It's like every few months, Starbucks is dropping a new blink and you'll miss it product. TikTok goes feral, grown adults are lining up at 3 in the morning, and we're supposed to believe that it's proof that Starbucks is still that girl. But here's the thing. This isn't organic hype. It's manufactured scarcity doing CPR on a fading brand. Because when a company can't make people excited about the core product, it starts creating artificial chaos around the accessories. And that's exactly what this is. Starbucks wants to be seen as trendy without doing the hard and arduous work of actually being trendy. So instead of fixing the experience, they instead just rig the algorithm. They don't say, how can we make customers return to our store? Instead, they're saying, how do we go viral? Enter the Barista cups, a product that isn't actually rare. They've been doing these types of cups in the Asian market for years, yet somehow Starbucks can't seem to manufacture enough to stock more than 2 per store on drop day. And suddenly you have Starbucks getting coverage all over social media and even on traditional news outlets, changing the conversation from their financially disastrous 2 years to now something totally different.
If you don't like what is being said, change the conversation.
The Bear Cup drops aren't about mugs. It's about astroturfed virality, culturally engineered scarcity designed to create the illusion of cultural relevance. And social media eats this up, because scarcity, no matter how fake, plays well with engagement. If you have social proof that you're one of the chosen few influencers that got a Bear Cup, you'll get higher views. Meanwhile, let's talk about the actual Starbucks experience. Walk into most locations today and tell me that it doesn't feel like a modern, lifeless McDonald's. You swap the burgers and fries with cold brew and whatever the hell their protein cold foam is made of, and it's virtually the same thing. If you look online at most of the modern interiors for both chains, you could slap a green mermaid over the Golden Arch logo and vice versa, and no one would be able to tell the difference. Clad in white or gray tile, with sterile, hard, easy-to-clean surfaces, and uncomfortable chairs that just silently scream, please don't stay long. This isn't a cafe, it's just a beverage distribution center. It's a place where you pay $8 for your drink, you stand around looking at your phone while it's made, and then you leave immediately once you get it. And people don't seem to be having it anymore. Their sales over the last few years have been slipping, while other chains like Dutch Bros are actually growing. The irony is, people would probably be less likely to complain about an $8 coffee if they felt like they were buying an experience instead of just speed running a transaction. And the great irony is that Starbucks used to do this. Today, Starbucks is such a divergence from what made the brand trendy, it's almost baffling to see. Starbucks used to sell coffee and atmosphere. It was a place where you'd want to go and hang out. It was a go-to meeting spot for friends, business partners. It was a great first date spot. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Starbucks leaned hard into the idea of being a third place. Someplace that's not work or not home, it's somewhere to exist in between. It had comfy chairs, warm lighting, jazz playlists, bulletin boards for local events, and people actually sitting down with books or laptops for more than 6 minutes. You didn't just grab coffee, you occupied the space. And that actually mattered. Even the current CEO, Brian Niccol, understands this. He proclaims that Starbucks needs to return to its community-based roots in order to succeed. Though because Brian is an abject moron who failed up to the Starbucks job after absolutely tanking Chipotle's reputation, his ideas have been laughable at best. Brian's idea of community is that the baristas just write generic notes on every cup at the beginning of every shift. That way when you get your $8 coffee, you might get a message like enjoy or yum, which I'm sure will go a very long way in making you feel like a random message selected from a pile of similar ones means that the coffee shop chain is an integral part of your community. Like everything Starbucks has been doing the last 2 years, it wants to give the appearance of cultural importance without actually doing any work towards it. And Starbucks is missing a huge opportunity to capture a very big trend on social media, cozy core. There's a yearning for the spaces that Starbucks used to look like, places that are warm, inviting, and cozy, and welcoming. The internet culture is looking for something comfortable, softly lit, lived-in spaces, and rejecting sterile, cold, ultra-modern, and overly curated looks that we've seen since 2015. People want back the spaces where they can exist without being rushed out like an Amazon package. Book talk nerds would probably make a space like that blow up. And actually, indeed, they have. Just look at Barnes & Noble, who pivoted hard from the transactional spaces that they used to have a couple of years ago, and they brought back the chairs, the comfy reading spaces, the cozy vibes, real recommendations about books from employees, handwritten, and made it a place to actually vibe for a while. They went from a transactional, lifeless store on the brink of extinction a few years ago to thriving in 2025. And while Starbucks is far from danger, they're decaying while cozy places are thriving. Barnes & Noble is actually opening more stores in the coming years, while Starbucks is closing down hundreds. But imagine a Starbucks that actually encourages you to stay. One that gives you reading nooks, comfortable seating, a quiet but welcoming atmosphere. People would justify the price because they're not just paying for the beverage, they're paying for the time and the comfort. They're paying for the experience, not just caffeine delivery. But the thing is, Starbucks doesn't seem like they want to do that because it would cost money. Store remodels are expensive, cozy isn't the best for the bottom line, and the vibes might actually be hampered a bit by the drive-thru outside of the window. And sure, from a purely financial standpoint, Starbucks would probably rather have 30 customers grab their drink and leave in 10 minutes, rather than 15 customers that would stay for an hour. But if they're going to be a purely volume-based brand, they need to drop the branding contradiction of pretending to be a community space. They're in this state of confusion where they want the aesthetic of a gathering place, but the operations and volume of a fast food chain. It's a confusing mess, and their numbers show that. And instead of reconciling that mismatch, they're trying to distract us with viral cups. But the thing is, the Starbucks paradox is a losing one for them, because if Starbucks is functionally a grab-and-go operation, there are chains like Dutch Brothers that are gonna wipe the floor with them, because Dutch Brothers doesn't pretend. There's no third-place fantasy. There's no cute little notes written on your cup. There's no attempt at masquerading as a cozy place. There's no pretense or foreplay. It's a drive-up, get your drink and leave kind of spot. It's efficient, it's honest, and it aligns with their business model. Dutch Brothers' financial performance in 2025 has been very strong. They've opened dozens of new stores in 2025, while again, Starbucks has closed hundreds. They're nipping at Starbucks' heels while not suffering with contradictory delusions and an identity crisis. And they're not the only competitor in the ultra-transactional fast food style coffee chain. Luckin Coffee from China is now entering the US market after having explosive growth in China. It's a brand known for offering highly efficient and a transactional experience like Dutch Brothers, while also offering a value proposition with tons of promotions, coupons, and promotional deals. They even have an app like the Starbucks app where people can order ahead and their coffee's ready when they arrive. While it doesn't have many stores in the US now, it does have a substantial presence and financial stability overseas that will allow it to expand rapidly if it chooses to do so in the coming years. And given its value proposition, it could be a huge threat to Starbucks. Why would customers pay $8 for a Starbucks coffee when they can have the exact same product and experience, including the app ordering experience, from Luckin at half the price? Is the Sharpie note really worth an additional $3? Yet given Brian Niccol's history at Chipotle, I really don't see Starbucks leaning into a value proposition, where they offer consistent discounts and promotions outside of gimmicks like the Frappuccino Happy Hour. Instead, Chipotle's worst CEO is miring Starbucks in this awkward position where they're trying to pull off being a luxury community coffee shop with a fast food delivery method. If they are going to truly try to have it both ways, it seems like one side of the equation is definitely falling way short of the other. The fast food experience aspect is definitely the front runner compared to the community aspect, which is completely non-existent. They're hoping that superficial gestures like writing notes on cups makes you smile. It doesn't. They hope that people crashing out over not getting a bear cup will keep them relevant. It won't. They want people to pass up cheaper, more efficient competitors and keep coming to them. And based on the last few years, they haven't. And when purposely manufactured scarcity becomes the main event, it's usually a signal that the product or the experience can't stand up on its own anymore. While the astroturfed virality of the cup's scarcity might have them trend on social media for a while, it won't translate to long-term sustainable success. The fundamentals of Starbucks' business is a confusing mess. They're a beverage assembly line that somehow doesn't know what it wants to be. And that's because they think that a value proposition is beneath them and they want free reign to overcharge for what they're offering. Meanwhile, it's only a matter of time before more people realize that they're just standing in a tiled room, holding an $8 coffee served in a bear cup, and wondering why it doesn't hit the same. The call of a cheaper alternative, especially in a worsening economy, will be too much to ignore when considering Starbucks offers a decreasing experience and little value for what they're charging. That's all I have for you today. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this type of content, be sure to subscribe for more.